Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the third International Think Family Symposium. I've got the great pleasure today of being the chair for this wonderful event, and I'm absolutely delighted to have been invited to be here. I'm John Devaney. I work at the University of Edinburgh, but as some people would say, I'm formerly of this parish. My job today is to try and make sure that we give ample opportunity for all of the wonderful speakers to have enough time to talk to you about the incredible work that they have been doing, and alongside that to ensure that you get the opportunity to network and mix with one another, and also to get some breaks throughout the day. I've got some housekeeping to start off with. First one, which I need to do myself, is to make sure that we either have mobiles switched off or turned to silent, so we don't interrupt anybody today. And also to let you know that in terms of the breaks, when we're getting coffee served, it'll be served at the back of the room. There's a building next door where lunch will be served, and people will show you where to go for that. If you need to use the loos, go back into the foyer, and they're left and right, depending on which ones you prefer to use. In terms of a fire alarm, we're not expecting any today, so if the alarm does go off, let's all treat it as though it's a real alarm. You can either exit through the rear doors at the back or through the doors left and right. I've been on lots of planes over the past week, and now I'm getting flashbacks to being a flight attendant. Oxygen masks will drop from the ceiling. When we go out of the building, if it is an alarm, please turn to the right and go down and stand outside the physics building, and that way the conference organisers will be able to make sure that everybody's together and let us know when it's safe to return into the building. The third International Think Family Symposium today is aimed to showcase the remarkable work in Northern Ireland that is being done currently in supporting parents who have a mental illness and/or a substance misuse problem, and also thinking about how we support their families. And one of the things I often say to my students, some of whom are former students who are in this room today, is the importance, thank you for that, is the importance of when we're talking about people who are experiencing these sorts of challenges in their lives, is to remember that they're not just people out there, they're also some of us who are in this room. So actually it's one of these conversations about how we talk about what might be good for us as well as for other people, and I think that will come out in some of the presentations later on today. We're delighted. Think Family Northern Ireland promotes family-focused practice, and it aims to enhance the partnership working to improve outcomes for family where parents are experiencing these sorts of challenges. We're absolutely delighted that the Department of Health Permanent Secretary Peter May has joined us to open our symposium today here at the University, and I'd like to invite Peter to come up and say a few opening remarks. So if you could please show your appreciation.
Thank you, John, for your welcome. I'm delighted to be here to celebrate and support the third International Think Family Symposium hosted today in this wonderful venue, the Whitler Hall. I suppose before I start, I should say that my last encounters with John have not been discussing matters of great state, such as you're going to be discussing today, but rather the merits of a glass of red or a glass of white. So that's my history with your chair. This symposium has been organised by the School of Nursing and Midwifery at Queen's, with input from the School of Social Sciences, Education and Social Work, and in partnership with the Department of Health. I'd like to extend a particularly warm welcome to all of our service users and colleagues who've travelled a great distance to be with us today. I'd like to thank in advance all the speakers who will share throughout the day their lived experience of parental mental illness and/or key developments in family-focused practice, both locally and internationally. As we all know, Think Family NI focuses on a very important subject. We know that parents' mental health problems can impact on children, and that children's experiences and difficulties can impact on parents. That makes family relationships such an important focus for families, for clinicians, for managers, researchers, and for policymakers. As a result of improved mental health treatment and policy, individuals with a mental illness are more likely than previously to assume a parenting role. Consequently, there is a growth in the number of children who have one or both parents who are mentally ill or who have substance misuse issues. In the UK, over 1/3 of all adults with mental health problems are parents, and the majority are mothers. Elsewhere, it's been estimated that between 1/5 and 1/3 of adults receiving treatment from mental health services have dependent children, that is, under the age of 18, and that over 20% of children live with at least one parent with a mental illness. 18% of parents who recently completed the Youth Wellbeing Prevalence Survey in Northern Ireland, led by Professor Lisa Bunting in Queen's, reported they experienced a diagnosed mental illness in the past year, and 24% in the period before this. At a broad systems level, initiatives have been introduced in Northern Ireland and internationally to promote health and social care professionals' response to families when parents have mental illness or substance use concerns. There's increasing evidence that family-focused practice is beneficial. Adult family members and children experience less stress and better emotional well-being when mental health and social care professionals directly involve and support them. Mental health and social care professionals are able to create stronger alliances with families and experience greater work satisfaction in the process. Since 2009, the Think Family NI initiative has been a collaborative approach with health and social care professionals and service users in both adult mental health and children's services. It's important that we continue our work in this space, and we all have a role to play in improving family-focused practice in health and social care. There have been significant resources invested in working with health and social care trusts and interagency partners to raise the awareness of the impact parental mental health can have upon others in the family, such as children, young people and adult carers. The family model, I think attributed to Falcoff in 2012, has been the conceptual tool used as a framework to demonstrate the diversity of individual needs within families across the lifespan. I'm delighted to have health and social care staff from multiple disciplines and service providers from the community and voluntary sector in the room today. We all have a role to play in improving family-focused practice in conjunction with our service users and their families. I would ask that we continue to harness the strong cross-sector working relationships that have been developed during the COVID-19 pandemic, and that we build on those relationships and the learning from the pandemic to generate passion and enthusiasm for Think Family NI. One of the key roles we all have as leaders across health and social care is to ensure that our teams recognise their roles and responsibilities to embed family-focused practice in all their work. And Think Family NI offers an excellent vehicle to support this going forward. So I want to wish you well for the rest of the day. I look forward to hearing the outcome of your deliberations, and I'm going to hand you back now to your chair to take you through the rest of the morning. Thank you very much.
Peter, thank you for those opening remarks, and it's great to continue to have the support from the Department in terms of leading on this work, and also I think your comments around collaboration and partnership working are key in this particular area, and it's reflected in the cross-section of organisations that people in this room are from today. So thank you very much for that endorsement of the work so far, and also sort of the commitment to seeing where the work goes to from here. Colleagues, I've been remiss already. I should have mentioned that there are cameras at the back of the room recording everything that we say and do today. If that is problematic in any way, please be very quiet and let us know at a suitable moment in time. But it's a way of trying to make sure that we capture a lot of the learning from today that can be shared with others. Some of you may also get a tap on the shoulder at one particular moment of the day. It's not because you owe me money. It's only because there's an opportunity for some people to talk about sort of what does Think Family mean to you, and how does it factor into your work. So there'll be opportunities for some people to, if you're willing, to give an interview to the cameras, but Emma and others will be around sort of coordinating all of that. As many of you know, because this is the third time you've been to one of these international symposiums, the idea is that we have this rolling conversation which tries to take stock of the remarkable work which is taking place in Northern Ireland at the moment, inform that by fantastic things which are happening in other countries around the world, and then to both recommit to what we're trying to do in Northern Ireland going forward, and to try and think about what's the next frontier that we're aiming to reach. There are lots of you in the room today who are doing remarkable work, and hopefully there'll be an opportunity, both in the formal sessions where many of you are presenting, and also informally as we go around and have our breaks, to share the learning that you've gained about these important issues. If I could also make a special plead, which is that at the back of the room you'll see the blue boards, and we have a number of people in the room today who are presenting their work in the form of what we call posters. Please, during the breaks, take your time to go and read them. I've taken a look at some of them so far, and their work is absolutely fascinating. So please do look at those, and you'll probably see the people whose work that is standing by their poster. So please do engage with them about their remarkable work. As Peter has said, the symposium has been organised by the School of Nursing and Midwifery at Queen's University Belfast, and a very big thank you to colleagues from that school for all that they have done to organise today. And it's being held in partnership with the Department of Health. And we're delighted to see both clinicians and practitioners, not only from the UK and from Northern Ireland in the room, but also from jurisdictions as diverse as Ireland, Canada, Australia and Norway, who will all take their moments to share their understanding of what Think Family means in their context and also the work that they're doing. And I think that's a really important thing. It's certainly enriched my career to find out how other people are dealing with issues that I've been dealing with, but in a different national, cultural and legal context, because that certainly has resourced me and informed my thinking about a whole range of different issues. In terms of the legacy of the first two symposia, apart from that mild or small thing of a pandemic that's affected all of our lives in the intervening period of time, what it's allowed us to do is to take stock of where we've actually arrived to with Think Family and its rollout in terms of practice with children, with families and with colleagues in other services. And certainly I was very privileged to work with Anne and Gavin and other colleagues in this room on some evaluation work a couple of years ago, where we were looking at where had we arrived at with regards to Think Family in Northern Ireland. What was clear was that there was still much more to be done, but also a lot that had been achieved. And I think a symposium such as this is the exact opportunity for all of you to be taking stock collectively with us as to where we think we've arrived at and where we think we'd like to go to next. There are approximately 200 plus people booked in for today's event. Some may not arrive, some may arrive quite flustered in a moment after they've braved the traffic to get here. But what we hope is that it's an opportunity to both share and to learn. So really I would commend all of you to take the time during the coffee breaks and during lunchtime to connect with people that you do know, because that's an important thing of an in-person event such as today, but also to try and connect with people that you maybe only know slightly or don't know at all, because actually we have people who are here from both health and social care, but also the non-governmental sector and all of those wonderful organisations that work with parents with a mental illness or who have problematic substance use. In terms of the programme, what you'll see is that we've tried to organise, I say we, others have tried to organise the way that the talks will take place. Shortly, I'm going to introduce Martina McCafferty, who's from the Strategic Planning and Performance Group in the Department of Health. And Martina is going to outline an overview where Think Family Northern Ireland currently is and what are the plans moving forward. And then I'm very pleased and very honoured to be able to invite Dr Anne Grant from Queen's University Belfast to talk about some of the research that she's been engaged in, looking at health and social care professionals' family-focused practice, what that has actually told us about how practitioners feel they're supported and equipped to engage with this work, and what else might be helpful going forward. We'll then have a break for approximately 25 minutes to allow people to stretch their legs, use the facilities, grab a cup of coffee, look at the posters. And then when we come back, we'll have the first of our international presenters, and that's Professor Kim Foster from the Australian Catholic University, who'll be talking about lived experience. And I think that's a really important aspect of all of these symposium, has been to ensure that we have the voice of the people that we're seeking to help and support actually come into the room and be present in how we think about these issues. After Kim, I'll be delighted to welcome Brett Miller from Action for Children, who'll be talking about the experience of young carers, a group that I think is starting to become better recognised, but still where there's more to be done in terms of thinking about how best to actually support them in that critical role that they play. We'll then move on to a presentation from Claire McCartan and Grant and Emma Loudon, which is looking at the Northern Ireland Youth and Wellbeing Study to give us a sense of what is the prevalence of parental mental illness in Northern Ireland and what are the factors associated with it and what do we know about the impact on family members. We'll then have a break for lunch, because you'll all need it by that stage, and then we'll have a series of presentations from practitioners and also some more of our international speakers, but I'll come back to talk about that at lunchtime. So, thank you all for being here today, because I appreciate that when you're here, there's other things that you could have been doing, but you've prioritised this over many of those other things. Hopefully you'll find it a stimulating and rewarding day for being here.